So you can either rest your hands on your upper thighs or just lightly on your belly. And just begin to track your awareness through your body from the tips of the toes, just lightly moving your attention up through your feet and legs. And just noticing if you're holding tightness or tension anywhere, if there's any gripping or clutching, that you can just breathe out and soften and loosen. Particularly, we hold tension in the hips. You may feel that you're sort of holding your knees off the floor. And actually, if you just soften around the buttocks and inner thighs, you may be able to just allow the knees to drop a fraction more towards the earth. And then softening the lower back and all through the spine. Now, you'll find that the spine naturally curves away from the mat at the lower end. And then the mid-thoracic around the shoulder blades, that's resting on the floor. And then the neck again curves away from the mat. So just allowing the spine to find its own natural curves. Relaxing any stiffness or tightness around the shoulders and neck, back of the neck. If you find you're clenching around your jaw or eyebrows, just softening, relaxing tightness there. And then we'll just take the attention to the breathing. Just notice as the breath rises and falls in your body. And as you notice your body's natural breath, you can just slowly start to shift it into a more conscious breathing pattern. A little slower, a little deeper with each inhale and exhale. Moving the breath downwards into the belly so that the belly actually lifts as you inhale, falls as you exhale. And then being aware of the breath starting in the belly, just notice as the breath moves from the belly into the ribs and then into the chest. And then as you breathe out slowly from the chest, from the ribs, finishing out at the belly. Breathing into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest. Exhaling from the chest, from the ribs, from the belly. Inhale into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest. Exhale from the chest, from the ribs, from the belly. Just take 3 more rounds on your own, staying as present and focused as you can. And then at the end of that 3rd round, just let go of that conscious breathing and just notice as your body breathes on its own, once again, just finding its own natural rhythm. Just observe the difference between your body's natural breath and those more conscious yoga breaths you were taking a moment ago. Just notice if the conscious breath makes you feel different to when the body's breathing on its own naturally. And then just notice if there's a shift in your conscious state, if your mind feels a little differently now that you've been breathing consciously and focusing on your body for these few moments. Hopefully there's a little more presence in the mind, a little bit more connection to your internal space. And then gently taking the hands to the knees, just hugging them into the chest. So this is week 4 of our class. The last week we'll be taking this sequence. And I just really want us to focus more this week than any other week on that conscious connection. So by week 4, the idea is that you've done this routine 3 times previously. Your body knows what's coming a little bit more. You know how to get in and out of the poses. And instead of thinking about the actual anatomy of the body and the postures that you're going to take, I just want you to let go of that thinking this week. And I just want you to get into the pose easily and then just bring your attention back to your breathing, turning this into a thoughtless practice, so a practice free of thinking. And instead, I just want you to try and find that flowing conscious state where your mind just takes a step back and your body breathes and moves with a little bit more freedom and a little less thinking. So let's take the arms wide and just drop the knees to the right. And again, try not to start thinking about how this pose should be, the correct posture. Try not to think about how to improve it or deepen it. Try not to be thinking about it at all. Just enjoy how the body feels right now. And sense the pose from the feeling of it. So if it feels uncomfortable, just shift slightly until it feels better. If you feel like you want to stretch more, just shift yourself slightly until you're stretched more. So the body's leading its way. The breath and the consciousness are leading you in and out of the poses, not the thinking brain, not the thinking brain. Just bringing the knees up and over. Let's feel this twist through the other side of the body. Again, just breathing your way into tightness, sensing your way through restriction, just adjusting yourself into the correct posture for your body and breathing. The thing about yoga, as we practice this more, we realize that actually I'm not the teacher in the room. Each of us is our own teacher. I cannot tell you how your body should be in this posture. I cannot tell you the perfect pose for you. I can guide you towards a good pose, but then the rest is how you feel in it and how you move in it and where you want to finish in it. Let's bring the legs back up, placing the feet flat. And that takes practice and experience and a little bit of experimentation as well. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee, just pulling the left knee into the chest. And again, just explore your way into this posture. And never make assumptions about how it will be. I may come to this pose on a certain day and find there's a lot of freedom in my hips and my buttocks, and I can get nice and deep, and there's no pressure on the knee. And then another day, maybe I've been for a run the day before, and everything feels very, very different. And I have to approach even this simple posture a lot more carefully. I have to feel and breathe my way into it. I need to be aware that there's a lot of tightness in the hips, because otherwise I could damage my knee. And that's the way that you become the teacher of your yoga practice. I may offer you postures, but you are the one experiencing them and choosing how they should feel and how they should sit in your own body. And that's really what week 4 is all about, is handing back the teaching of the poses to you. Let's place the left leg down and extend the right leg up and just kind of open it, extend it, and express it into that hamstring stretch in whichever way that your leg feels able to do so. And then just find the breath to allow that length and extension in the way that your body feels able to do. And then we'll swap sides, crossing left ankle over the right knee and gently pulling that right knee in. And once again, just feeling your way through the tightness and resistance, finding your way into the posture and experiencing it in your body tonight, in this moment. And then we'll extend that left leg up And again, just finding that length, that softness into the back of the leg, that stretch, experiencing it for ourselves. And also coming to it new every time. Though you may have done this pose many times, approaching it as if it is the first time you have ever been in it, with a willingness to feel that your body is in a different place today. Good, let's release. Hug the knees back in and move to happy baby pose, holding the outsides of the feet and just allowing the knees to drop into the armpits. Maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And then you can roll over to the side and gently press your way up to sitting. We'll stretch the legs out in front. And as you reach forward, taking your attention now to the back and shoulders as well as the backs of the legs. So as you reach the arms forwards, beginning to get that stretch through the upper back, your arms and shoulders, just settling into your breath again. And then slowly coming back up. And let's just swing the legs around, coming to full point kneeling. So your wrists are under shoulders and knees under hips, and you're just going to move through cat-cow pose, dropping the belly, lifting the chin, taking that full inhale. And then as you round your back and tuck your belly in, chin to chest, really pushing the breath out. And then just moving again, being your own teacher, moving with the pace of your own breath and with the flexibility of your own spine, which won't be the same as mine or anyone else in the room. Just finding your way through this breath and movement. And then just soften it back into child's pose. Rest your head down, stretch your fingertips forwards, and just relax and soften the body for a moment. And then we'll tuck the toes under and push it into downward facing dog. And just gently pedaling out through the heels, bending one knee at a time, lengthening the opposite heel down. Again, just experiencing this first downward facing dog in your own body with your own breath pattern. And then we'll just drop the knees to the floor and stepping the right foot all the way to the front of the mat, making sure that your ankle's under your knee and that you've got room for the hips to begin to sink down to the floor as the chest lifts, shoulders down, getting that hip flexor stretch in. Again, just coming back to the breath, allowing the breath to soften any resistance in the hips. And then we'll take a twist, left hand down, right hand up. Again, making sure, as I said last week, that you're not collapsing in that lower shoulder, but you're lifting up and out of the left shoulder and pulling the right shoulder back into that rotation. Find that breath through the ribs and allow the exhale to just twist your spine a fraction more. Good, let's take the hand down. We'll step that front foot back and we'll just bring the left foot forwards, checking the knee is above the ankle and the hips have room to sink to the floor. Shoulders rolling back, heart lifting, and the breath steady. Good. Right hand down, and we'll lift up through the left hand again, lifting up and out of the right shoulder as you peel the left shoulder back. And just allow the opening through the chest and the exhale twisting you a fraction more into the spine. Great. Let's take the hands down. And this time, stepping the foot back, we're just going to stretch out the toes, just tucking the toes under and sitting right back onto your heels. And if you want more of a stretch, you can just push the knees forward slightly, getting a little bit more stretch into the soles of the feet, plantar fascia. This can get very tight, just finding that breath there. And then just releasing your feet, coming to sit on your heels. Take the tops of the hands down, stretch into the wrists. If you can get all the way to the wrist crease, to the floor, so top of the hand down. And this bit. Yeah. And if you can straighten your elbows as well, that makes it more intense. So just listen to how the wrist feels. Good. And then place the hands the other way, or just give them a little shake. And then find your way into downward facing dog. And once again, just pedaling out the heels in your dog, or perhaps just finding stillness in your dog if that feels best for your body. You're the teacher tonight. And then slowly walking the hands back towards the feet until you find yourself hanging like a rag doll, a slight softness, slight bend in the knees, and holding either the elbows or allowing the hands to fall to the earth. Just feel that length all through the back of the body now, right from the crown of the head all the way through the spine and the backs of the legs to the feet. And then roll up slow for this one, just one vertebra at a time, moving you all the way up, head up last. And then we'll open and lift the heart by interlacing the hands and pressing the knuckles away. And then moving the other way and opening into the back muscles. Great, and then have a little shake out. Let's come to the front of the mat. And we'll take our first round of sun salutation nice and steadily before moving into some variations. So just the same sequence we've done, or maybe just moving it a little bit more consistently tonight, a little bit less stop and start, so that you can really connect to that feeling of flowing with your breathing. When you're ready, let's inhale the arms, reaching up. We'll exhale, folding down, trying to get the hands down, maybe a softness in the knees. We'll step the right leg back and drop the knee. And this time, bringing the arms up if that feels good for you, or you can just rest your hands on your knee and take a moment in your low lunge, allowing the hips to fall to the earth, the shoulders soften away from the ears, and the heart lifting. Great. And then as you exhale, hands come down and we'll step to plank. It can either be modified with the knees down, or you can have the knees lifting, but just make sure that your belly's pulled in and your hips are down in line with your shoulders, so you're not in dog. Good. Bridget, just drop the hips a little bit more for me. Good. And then everyone drop the knees. And we'll sink the hips down, bending the elbows, keeping the elbows in at the sides, all the way onto the belly. Good. Flipping your feet, top of the feet down. We'll take a baby cobra here, so no weight in the hands, shoulders rolling back strength, lifting the heart from the mat. And then pushing back to child's pose, just resetting your breath for a moment and releasing the body. And then tucking the toes under, let's move it to downward facing dog. And we'll put a pulse into our heels this time. So as you inhale, rising up onto the toes. As you exhale, squeezing the heels down. Let's take that again. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, squeezing down. And one more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. And then just sinking the knees back to the mat and stepping or hiking that right foot to the front of the mat if you need to. And then allowing the hips to sink, and if it's appropriate, the arms to lift up. Shoulders down, heart up, breath steady. Again, connecting to how the body feels in this posture. Exhaling, releasing down. Let's step the back foot forwards. And just taking your hands to your shins, just run them down your legs until you feel you're in your deepest stretch, maybe holding the calves or the ankles. And then just begin to pull yourself deeper into the pose, head towards knees. And just again, take your attention to your breathing, helping release tightness there. Good, releasing that out, just roll up through your spine. Coming all the way up, inhale, reach and stretch through the fingers. And exhale, hands back to the heart. Just take a deep inhale here. And exhale. Good, inhale, reaching up. And exhale, folding down. Good, we're going to step the left leg back, drop the knee. Floating the arms up, this time we're going to put that pulse in. So hips lift up as you inhale. As you exhale, hips sink. And again, so each pulse, each exhale, just trying to find another inch into the hips there. One more time. And this should be our deepest stretch of the day. So just taking an extra breath there, feeling the hips lengthening, the resistance releasing. And then hands coming down, stepping once again either to plank with the knees on the floor or with the knees up. But get the hips low, the belly pulled in, and the shoulders squeezing away from the ears. That's good. You just pick up the hips a little bit, Eve. So that, yeah, good. Drop the knees and everyone lower down onto your belly, elbows in. Good. And then we'll take a high cobra, rolling the shoulders back as you press into the hands a little bit, but never allowing the elbows to straighten completely, too much in the lower back. Take a breath there and push back child's pose. Reset your breathing and reset that conscious attention in the mind. Tucking the toes, moving to down dog. And once again, we'll take that pulse through the heels as we inhale, lift up high onto the toes. Exhale, squeezing the heels away. Two more. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, squeeze down. And one more time. Great. And then dropping the knees back down to the mat and either swinging the left foot through or maybe grabbing it and pulling it forwards. And we'll take 3 pulses. As we inhale, the hips lift. And as we exhale, we pulse. Good. 2 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pulse. 1 more. And then again, on this side, getting as deep as you're able and just holding it there, but not holding the breath. And we release. Good. Stepping the back foot in. And once again, just sliding the hands down the legs to find that deep hamstring stretch. Encouraging, with the breath, some of that tightness to release even further. And then release, pull the belly in, soften through the knees, and let's roll up bone by bone, coming up to stand. Inhale, the arms float up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Again, reset with a deep breath in and out. Good. Just shaking out the body. Going to move on to our one more sun salutation with some variations in it. Good. So let's reset at the front of the mat. And again, connecting to your breath and also how the body's feeling today. And then we'll inhale, the arms lift up. So first of all, we're going to put that side bend in. So I perhaps should have said, just take the feet slightly apart for our side bend. And then as you inhale, lift your ribs out of your hips. But when I say that, the tendency is to do this. So although I want you to be lifting this way, I then want you to be pulling that way. So there's a sort of two actions going on in the upper body, a lifting up from the waist, but a pulling down from the shoulders. And then we'll just tip to the right. And as you do that, you want to press a little further into the left leg, the left foot, and reach a little more into the left fingertips. Breathe there. And then as you inhale, we get that lift again, ribs from hips. And then we exhale out through the other side. Once again, just refocusing on that breath, that stretch and length. And then inhaling, coming back up, we'll exhale, lower down. So we're stepping the right leg back, but this time we're going to keep the knee lifted. So trying to get the knee as straight as you can. You then want to find this action. So although the back knee is lifting, you then want this action of the hips dropping. So it's not the back knee bending, it's the hips deliberately softening down into the floor. Once your hips are really sinking down, then pick up the back knee a little more and you'll feel some really strong engagement through that back leg. Just breathe into it. And then resting the weight into the right hand, we'll put the twist in, lifting through the left fingertips, turning the heart, not collapsing into the right shoulder, but lifting away from the mat. And again, just finding that conscious breath, noticing how the body feels in this movement. And then we'll bring the hands down and we're stepping to either plank or modified plank, getting the hips low, the belly pulled in, and either the knees on the floor. That's great, Bridget, really nice. And then everyone drop the knees and slowly lower down onto your bellies, flip your feet, and then take either low or high cobra, your choice, and push back into your child's pose and reset your breath. And from there, we'll tuck the toes under, move back into downward facing dog. And we'll repeat that pulse. Inhale, lifting the heels high, stretching out the toes. Exhale, squeezing down, heels towards the mat, stretching the Achilles tendons. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, squeezing down. One more. Good. And then we're going to drop the knees once again to the floor. And we're stepping the right foot, this time outside the right hand. And then with the back toes tucked, pick up the back knee. And then try and turn your back heel down so that your toes are pointing towards the side wall and the heel is on the mat. So you've turned your hips a little to the side now. Get the weight into the right hand and see if we can float the left hand up. So if your left shoulder is still facing the mat, just see if you can peel it back until it's stacked above the right shoulder, if that's available to you. And then just breathe, trying to find softness in the neck and around the left shoulder. And we're in a variation of side angle pose. One more breath here. And then bring both hands back to the mat and peel your back heel off as you turn that hip back down. And then we'll drop the knees and we'll sink. So take the weight really into the hands and out of the front foot. So you should feel that the front foot has not got any weight in it. And then you can allow that front knee to fall open, coming to the blade of your foot. And if you really want to test your flexibility, just see if you can find one or both elbows, but that's optional. You can stay on your hands if that feels more appropriate. And then just find a passive sort of release into the pose. It will feel intense, there's a lot going on. Just take the breath into those areas where there feels a lot of tightness. And then come back to the hands, recorrect the front leg, bringing that knee up, and then pick up the back knee. We're just going to hop the back foot in a little bit, and then just see if you can take it out to the side. So you hop it behind you and over to the side a little bit, placing the weight into the left hand. Can you lift the right hand? You find a bit of a side twist here. Good. You'll probably feel this also in the right buttock. If you've got that good stretch in the right buttock, maybe drop the hips another inch. Good. Breathe. Great. Bring the hands down. Hop that back foot onto your mat. Your feet are about a hip's width apart. Now, in an ideal world, I want you to come up to standing with the left knee in the left hand so that you're standing on your right leg. If that's not possible, stand up first and then pick up the leg. It's a bit of a play on balance. Good. Now with balance, it takes practice. So if you're struggling with your balance, it just means you haven't done enough of it yet. And also the trick is to fix your gaze on a point that's not moving. Now if you feel balanced, maybe you can float to a simple warrior 3. It doesn't need to be a deep one. Taking the leg behind you. If you want to make it more advanced, you just tip into a T shape. Good. And release. Well done. And also, balance is affected by air pressure, hormones. So one day you may be rubbish at balancing and another day very good. So just go with the balance flow. Great. So let's reset at the front of the mat. We'll do all that on the other side. Just take a deep breath. Find that conscious connection again. And let's go. Inhaling up. And exhale, floating down to the floor. We'll step the left leg back, keeping the knee off the floor. Just start to sink those hips down as far as you can, keeping the back knee lifted. So getting that really nice drop in the hips. And then pressing down through the left palm, we'll find that twist. And again, lift out of the lower shoulder, peel the top shoulder back, lift and open the heart, and find your breath. Good. And then we'll bring both hands down. You're going to step to plank, or of course, knees on the floor, modified plank. That looks lovely. Drop the knees lower onto your belly and take high or low cobra. So just to remind you that low cobra, there's no weight in the hands, all the back's doing the work. High cobra, we press up a little higher, but never so high that the elbows are straight. Pushing back to child's pose and resetting your breath. And then tucking the toes and moving to down dog. Adding that pulse into the heels to really stretch and lengthen the calves and the Achilles. Inhale, rise up onto your toes. Exhale, squeeze them down even further. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, squeeze and lengthen. One more time. Exhale. Good, dropping the knees. And we're going to step that left foot outside the left hand. And then pick up your back knee. Sorry, to land, literally outside the hand. Pick up your back knee and then turn the back foot down so that the heel's on the floor and the toes towards the windows. Transfer the weight into the left hand and see if you can float the right hand. And then start to think about peeling the right shoulder backwards so that it stacks above the left. Eventually, you want your heart shining towards the windows. Taking a breath there, hips are low, belly pulled in. And then bringing both hands back as you lift your back heel, and we sink the back knee down. And then take all the weight into the hands and off the front foot so that you can slip to the blade edge and allow the knee to fall open. And then, if it's available to you, one or both elbows sinking down, getting the hips as low as you can into that hip opening stretch. Reset your breath. And then we slowly come back up to the hands, reset the front knee, and lift your back knee. Hop the back foot in slightly, and then just see if you can hop it out to the side. Transferring weight into right hand, keep the hips low as you lift the left. And again, we're looking for twist, stretch into the front buttock. Breath steady. Switch your hands, Bridget, for me. Yeah, that's it, lovely. One more breath here. Great. And then the hands come down. And if you want to really challenge your balance, standing on the left leg with the right knee up from that pose. Otherwise, get to it however you need to. But eventually, standing on the left leg, right knee up. Fix your gaze, find your balance, breathe. And then slowly as you like, maybe finding a moment in Warrior 3. Just a breath or so. Good. Before a slow reset. And as you come to reset, just close your eyes, bring your hands back to your heart, and just scan through your body for a moment. Notice and observe every muscle, every bone, every ligament, and every breath. And then shake everything out. Very nice. Good conscious yoga. It never fails to amaze me how difficult it can be to do slow yoga. You're moving to flow because you've had enough of the difficulty of this class. It's sometimes much easier to move. I think so. It's hard in a different way, isn't it? But it is definitely not easier, I think. Because actually it's quite easy to move in and out of things quickly because your body never has to kind of really sit in it. So well done. Nice work. So we're going to move on to some standing postures that we will just hold for a few breaths. And again, I'll give lots of options. So, you can decide how challenged you want to be. Just listening, always listening to how that body feels today. It may not want to go there, or it may want to. So we'll float the arms up again as we inhale. As we exhale, releasing the hands down to the floor. We'll step the right leg back and we'll come back to that twist. So the hips sink down, the right palm down, and we lift the left arm up. We rotate again, feeling that lift and twist through the spine. And this time we're going to take ourselves to Goddess pose. So landing both hands inside the foot. You're going to walk the hands round, turn the back toes out. And then, keeping the knees bent and the knees pressing back, you're going to slowly bring the upper body and then lengthen the arms up into star pose, stretching through the fingers. Now tuck your pelvis under, so you draw your pubis bone towards your chin and your sitting bones down to the floor. So you're not sticking your bum out, but you're tucking your pelvis in. Now drop an inch lower and breathe. Good. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, straighten the knees and bring the hands to the heart. Good. Circle the arms down as you inhale. Sink. Can you go another inch down? Keep the pelvis tucked. Exhale, hands to the heart and straighten the knees. Good. One more time. Big circle up as you inhale. Sink down into deep goddess pose. Press the knees back. Open the inner groins. Breathe. Good. And then release down to Malasana. Now, if you've got knee problems, your Malasana can just look like this. Just a gentle squat with the hands on the knees. I can't really leave my camera actually, but if you can manage it, Full malasana would be to sit squatting down. Preferably the heels are on the floor, but that might not be available, in which case the heels are lifting. You may have your hands on your knees or your hands on the floor. And it's just a really good lower back stretch, and you'll probably feel it in the calves and the Achilles as well. Just take a couple of breaths here, squatting, and then release, and just come to a sort of between wide-legged and narrow-legged forward fold. So you're sort of at a 3/4 wide-legged forward fold. And I just want you to hang here passive. So that squatting malasana pose, really important, because our ancestors, of course, used to squat an awful lot. They would probably cook in a squat, they would probably sit with a squat, they'd go to the toilet in a squat. So this act of squatting has been lost to us, and unfortunately it's really compromising the length of our lower backs, the flexibility of our hips, and the length in our hamstrings and calves. So malasana, a great pose to work with, but you need to ease your way into it. We're going to take a second round of it now because it might feel easier the second time you come into it. Things may be a bit softer. So again, trying to encourage the heels to the floor, trying to sit your bum towards the floor if you can. It's like you're sitting down. That's it, good. And then keeping the hands where you wish to, either on the floor, on your knees, or maybe at the heart. Great, Janet, good, Carolyn, good. So it will take time, but it's a good one to practice this because you don't really need to be warm to do it, but listen to the knees, you don't want to hurt them. Good, come out of it again into that passive forward fold, just hanging here. And breathing, few deep breaths. Great. And then turning back to the front of the mat, just stepping forwards, a softening of the knees, and we'll roll up through the spine. Good. And then we'll inhale, the arms lift, and we'll exhale, rolling down. Stepping the left leg back and coming to the twist as you get the left palm down and lift up through the right hand, taking a breath in that twist. And then bringing the hands down inside the foot and walking out to goddess pose on the other side. This time, we'll bring the hands to the heart as the knees bend. Push the knees back, lift the heart. Almost try and press your breastbone into your thumbs here to get your shoulders down. And then we'll inhale, straightening the knees and lifting the arms up. And we'll exhale back to goddess pose. 2 more. Big inhale. Big exhale. 1 more. Inhale. Exhale, sit down as deep as you dare go in your goddess pose. And then just straightening the legs, turning the toes in, bring the hands to the hips, and we're going to take a wider legged forward bend. Inhale, push the hips forwards, a slight back bend. And then as you exhale, we'll slide the hands down the legs towards the ankles, or if you're more flexible, maybe you can even hook the outsides of your feet. And then start to pull yourself into a deeper hamstring stretch. Soften into your breath. And then releasing the hands, just taking your right hand down, lift your left hand up and twist. And again, lift out of your right shoulder and pull the left shoulder back. And then other way. Again, no collapsing through that lower shoulder, but a lift away from the mat. And then just turn towards your right foot. Both hands either side of your right foot in a lunge facing me. Good. And then step that front foot back and just lower yourself into a child's pose. Stretching the hands forwards and softening your breath. So we're going to come to pigeon now. So you either might want to come to pigeon from 4-point kneeling, or you might find it easier from downward facing dog. But to remind you, in pigeon we want the right foot behind the left hand and the right knee behind the right hand. And your knee really wants to be pointing to the window, not towards the front. And then, keeping your left knee as straight as you can, tiptoe the left toes back, try and get the left knee straight, and then try and drop your hip onto your heel. Good, so get the hips down, and then slowly lower, really nice postures. If you've got any pain in your knee, you can just release the pose. And then just taking a few breaths in pigeon, encouraging the hips and glutes to release. And then slowly coming back up to high pigeon, just shift your weight onto the right buttock, and then bending the left knee, catch the left foot, and start to pull it in towards you until you feel the stretch in the front of the left thigh. A couple of breaths there. And then we'll just swing the legs round, place the feet flat, and just rock back off your sitting bones, keeping the feet on the floor. And we're just going to row the boat. So go as far as you can, but keep your toes pressing into the mat, and then lifting with the heart rather than rounding the spine. Come back up, lifting from the heart. So you exhale your boat back, and you inhale your boat back up. Good. Let's try and take 3 more. Keep the belly pulled in the whole time. Last one, if you've still got some juice in you, just hold it down there for a few seconds. And then everyone lower onto the back and hug the knees into your chest. And then just rolling to the side, push yourself up to sitting and swing the legs round. Find downward facing dog. And then we'll take left side pigeon. So you want the left knee behind the left hand and the left foot behind the right hand. And then you start to wriggle your right foot back until the right knee is straight and the hips are sinking. Very nice. And then we slowly come forwards towards pigeon and just try and get passive as you deepen into the stretch, softening into the breath. And then slowly coming back up and shifting the weight over onto the left buttock as you bend the back knee and pull the right foot towards you or the right heel in. And just getting into that quadricep stretch. Great, and then swinging the legs around, let's set up for some oblique work. So feet flat to the floor again, and you rock back off your sitting bones, bring the fist to your heart, and this time you're going to twist and try and tap or move the elbow towards the mat either side of you. Good. Trying to keep your belly pulled in and your core engaged as you just tap from side to side. You don't have to tap the elbow all the way down. It could just be a slight twist. We'll do 2 more on each side. And then once again, if you've still got some juice, a slow release, 1 vertebra at a time. And this time we'll stretch the arms and legs away from each other, opening into that abdominal area. And then placing the feet flat on the floor, bring the heels in as close to your hips as you can, and the hands by the sides, pressing the lower back first into the mat, roll up through the spine, 1 vertebra at a time. Come up onto your shoulders and just walk the shoulders in towards each other, and then pressing the feet into the mat, pushing the hips high, and breathing. A slow roll down through your spine, and just rock the knees from side to side. And we'll do 1 more round. So press the lower back down first, pulling the belly in, and then allow the hips to float, rolling up through your vertebra. Come up onto the shoulder heads and push down through the heels to get the hips up, and find the breath. And then we'll slowly release back down. And once again, hug the knees into the chest. And just close your eyes. Take a moment to notice and observe once again how the body's feeling right now. Maybe compare it to the beginning of class. And then we'll just take the arms wide and drop both knees to the right. Turn the head to the left, keeping the eyes closed and just noticing and observing the body in this twist as you connect to your breath. And then bringing the knees up and over the other way. Again, connect to the breath and observe the body. And then make your way to Shavasana. Just lying on your back, allow the feet to just fall out to the sides, hands away from the body, palms facing up. Take a deep breath in here through the belly, through the ribs, through the chest. Exhale from the chest, from the ribs, and from the belly. And then just release all conscious breath work and allow the body that chance to just softly breathe on its own. If you're practicing at home, I'll be switching the video off, allowing you to relax as long as you're able or to move into your meditation practice.